Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of What Now? And we have a follow-up today. Today is a follow-up with hit producer Amadeus. I spoke to him last week, and we didn't get to cover everything that I wanted to talk about, and because he's doing so much. So we decided to put another talk up, do a part 2. So it should be interesting because we still have a lot to cover. Welcome everyone tuning in. I'm sure people are still getting notifications on me going live. I'm waiting for Amadeus to get in here. But hey, if you haven't seen the first part of my talk with him, it is available on IGTV to watch back. Please go and do that because it's very inspiring. He's a very energetic guy. I was very, very hype after our talk. So I'm very excited to talk to him again. He gives me a lot of energy, very positive person. And I'm super excited to talk to him again. Thanks everyone for joining again. I see you, Mark. I see you, Phoebe, Keith. It's amazing for everyone to come in this live. I see a request, Russ, but I'm waiting for Amadeus to get in here, so I will not be going live with anybody else but Amadeus because this is a live talk with him. This is the What Now series. So, but I appreciate you joining in. This is a very inspiring guy. Again, if you haven't seen part 1 of my conversation with him, please go and watch it on IGTV. It doesn't really matter if you watch this one first or watch part 1 because we'll be touching on some other topics. So it's not really a, to be continued in a sense of you have missed stuff if you are joining in now. I hope he's not letting me do a whole monologue because I'm very bad at those. Let me nudge him. He was setting up. He said he was on his way. Oh, my homie Marvin is in here. Thank you for joining. I don't know how long you're going to stay in here, but I appreciate you peeking in. Doomy, great singer. Please go and watch my IGTV episode with Doomy. I spoke to her. She just released an EP, Butterfly. It's amazing. Her voice is amazing. She's from Madagascar, and she relocated to the United States, and her music is amazing. So please check out her EP, Butterfly. Doomy, thank you for tuning in, and I know you have a project for schools, so don't worry about it if you can't stay the whole talk. Come on, Amadeus, I know you're setting up, but I don't want to keep doing these monologues. Let me know how you're doing, where you're from, how the situation is in your area as far as Corona. We're not really having any troubles over here, but I know in the States it's still pretty much alive and kicking. If you don't know who Amadeus is, he's produced for Chris Brown, Jennifer Lopez, Justin Bieber, Rihanna. He's the drummer and music director for Trey Songz. He's done a whole bunch of things aside from music as well. In our first talk, we've pretty much covered his career, what his first breakthrough was, which was Song for Foxy Brown. And it was very inspiring to hear him speak on his career musically. And he also does motivational speaking gigs in colleges and schools to motivate kids that want to get into the music industry or learn more about the business. So we will be diving more into the business side of the music industry, talking to Amadeus. Now, he better get in here because I'm running out of things to talk. So, if you have any questions, make sure you put it in the question box so we will get to those. We didn't even get to all of them last week because we were running out of time. We were having just too much fun with that. I'm waiting for him to come in here because I don't do monologues very well. I did radio for a while. I did a couple of years of radio, and I was just really talking in the air, literally in the air. But this is how you know you can do radio, because you have to do monologues all the time and then cue your music. Soundstorm, wow, that's great. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you coming in here. If you don't know who he is, go check him out. Come on, Amadeus, don't leave me hanging in here. Let me know how you guys are doing. I see my new friend from, I want to say North Carolina, but I'm not really sure. I appreciate you checking in as well. We're waiting on my guest, Amadeus, hit producer, who has produced for pretty much everybody and their mama. And very good energy, very inspiring person, motivational speaker. And he better get his setup ready because, again, I am running out of things to say. If you have any questions beforehand, please make sure you put them in the question box. If you haven't seen the first talk I did with him, it's on my IGTV, as are all my other guests that I spoke to motivate the creative industry. Pretty exciting things. This is actually almost my 40th talk already. I've been going at it. I had my first guest again on Monday, which was Skeem Richards, and we were reflecting on the past few months, how Corona has, shifted our jobs, our work, our creativeness, and it was actually a really good talk as well to reflect on the past 3.5 months since I spoke to him as my first guest when I set up this whole series. Come on, Amadeus. I might just pop somebody else in here just to keep it going. Let me know how you guys are doing. Please, somebody ask me a question, if anything. If you don't know me, I'm from Amsterdam. I have been a music journalist for about 15 to 20 years. And I haven't really done a lot of interviews until Corona hit us and I started doing this What Now series to motivate and inspire people during this lockdown time. Now, we're not necessarily as locked up anymore or locked down anymore as we were, but I have been asked to keep going with these talks because they are inspiring and they are helping people out, seeing that their peers are also in the same struggle as they are. But I think we're all pretty much getting used to the situation right now. I hope he gets in here fast because everybody's leaving already. I agree. I have nothing to talk about. Oh, there you go. Okay. Let me get him in here because thank goodness I was just figure out some lies to tell you guys. No, I'm kidding. Yes. I did a pretty extensive intro. Thank you so much.
Listen, hey, anybody that's leaving don't want to be here.
Well, anybody that's leaving is because I can't do a good monologue. I'm like,
no,
super
man,
bad
you good. They can just look at you and be blessed by your presence. Now you don't have to do a whole bunch of talking.
Yeah, they don't want to do all of that. They're not coming there for that.
Listen. Peace and blessings, Queen.
Peace and blessings, King. I just gave a very extensive 5, 6, 7-minute introduction to who you are and what we kind of discussed last week. We were talking about your career, how you started in the music industry, what your breakthrough was according to you, all those things. We covered pretty much the 90s, the early 2000s, and then there were questions, and then that was the time. I got the countdown. So I told everyone that at this point, I feel like we needed to do a part 2 because you have so much more stuff that I wanted to touch on. You look very fresh.
Listen.
Such a difference with last week, man.
Well, thank you. Yeah, last week I had on the hat, cocked to the side. I had so much hair that the hat didn't even want to fit. And it's funny because I peeped, I looked at the IG, the one that we did last week real quick just to make sure I wasn't wearing the same thing. I said, okay, I did the black and white.
Nobody cares.
Adidas, you know what I'm saying? So let me go with the lavender joint. You know what I'm saying? Let me go with the lilac. And then I realized, that I had a haircut. I was like, oh shoot, I ain't gotta wear a hat this week. You know what I'm saying? I can let
you can let it all out now. Because it's all lined up and everything.
Hey, the king is back. The king is back.
Well, I have to say, I didn't do my hair last week either. And
Really?
today I kind of did my hair, so it's not as frizzy as it was. So
See, women, y'all are different. Y'all can do so many different things with y'all hair. You can put over a ponytail. You can do it on the
oh, you
side
done
bun. You
seen
can do
that
it.
shit on my reel.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all got so many different things y'all can do. Now, if we ain't got no hairline, we ain't got no hairline. Ain't nothing to it. Ain't nothing you can
But
do
you got
about
the
that.
beard that you can do some stuff with.
My beard was up to here. My beard was up to here. My hairline was doing this. I'm just happy to be back. I'm
happy that you're here. I don't care how your hair looks, because
Well, thank you,
that has nothing to do with
you.
your talent.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but let's dive into the stuff that I didn't get to touch on last week. So people that are entering, please put your questions in the question box. I didn't get to all the questions last week, so if you do have, if your question wasn't answered, make sure to put it in there. I'm sorry if I didn't got to it.
All good.
So aside from the music career from yourself, what I wanted to talk about was the business side. Now, I know last week I asked you questions like, what is some advice? And you gave some really solid advice that I had to highlight and post around. But I had some questions written down. What for you was the biggest mistake you made business-wise that turned out to also be one of your biggest lessons?
Love that question. I feel it would have to be at the beginning of my career, right? You know, me growing up in the Bronx, growing up in the hood, my parents used their money wisely when it came to us. You know, they applied it to our education. Now, as a youngin', you don't really understand those things. You know, you want all of the new sneakers, you want all of the new cool outfits, and that was something that we didn't get growing up. So when I first started really getting some real money, the first thing I did was go crazy. I went to Foot Locker.
Buy a house.
Oh man, I didn't even get there. Look, before all of that, I went to the sneaker store.
Or
was it Foxy money? I felt like it was a little bit of Foxy money, because a lot of the stuff started happening pretty quickly. You know what I'm saying? It started happening pretty quickly for me. So I forgot what checks it was, man. But I was in Foot Locker, you know, and y'all got a Foot Locker out in Amsterdam, right?
Yeah, we got Foot Locker.
Yeah. So I went to the Foot Locker, and I'll never forget it. I went to the Foot Locker. I went to the sneakers that I wanted. I told him, I said, I want all of those in every color in a 10.5.
Which sneaker was it?
There was the Nike Air Force One. The Nike Air Force One. So I said, give me a few of the all whites, of course. And then I'm a person, as you can see, I love colors. So I'm like, give me the white and yellow, give me the white and red, give me the white and blue, give me all that, right? And in that moment, it was kind of a proud moment for me, just growing up the way I grew up, you know, not having what we consider, or I consider, the finer things of life, you know, as a youngin'. So that was something I wanted to catch up on, just real talk. Like I just wanted to have all of the fly gear, all of the fly, you know, kicks. I went and had a ton of different dinners and all of the expensive restaurants. And long story short, you know, I got a lot of money. And I think when, you know, I was doing my taxes at the end of the year, and he's like, yeah, you made about 80, 90 grand. And I was like, what do you mean? What you talking about, Willis? And he said, yeah, you made about 80, $90,000. I was like, well, where's that? And that was a moment, right? That was a moment where, you know, I got right. My closet was banging. I ate all of the fancy stuff. And, you know, it was a lesson for me. No regrets at all. Because, again, I didn't have that life coming up. So for me, working and getting my own money, that's what I wanted to do. But the lesson in that was, you know, okay, you went out, you splurged, you went crazy, you know, but it was like, okay, but you splurged so hard, you didn't even realize that you made the money you made. So that was the lesson for me.
Because you don't keep it in the bank. Yeah.
Right. So that was the lesson for me, just, you know, to save, to put it where it needs to be, to invest it, to invest in myself in regards to my equipment, studio, and all that type of stuff. So that was definitely a lesson that I've learned, you know, right out the gate. But again, no regrets, because the king was fresh. When I tell you,
fly fresh, I believe it. Do you still own some of those shoes?
Yeah. I still do. You know, the classic ones. Obviously, the Air Force ones. They don't stay in the closet, man. You get about 4 or 5 wears of those. Once it starts creasing and getting, you know, too dirty, you know, they gone in the wind. That's
That's
a
why you got
rule
to
in
cover
hip
the
hop.
white ones.
You know, that's a rule in hip hop right there, man. So I do have some of that stuff. A lot of that stuff I got rid of. I'm not a person to throw things away. I'm a person to be a blessing to others. So I
Give it
give,
away, yeah.
and the Goodwill, Salvation Army. If I, you
Right.
know, see a less fortunate king on the street, and I, you know, peep his shoes and it ain't on point, I'll be the first to go to my trunk. I like to carry them in my trunk too, so I can just say, you know, here's
Here
two
you go.
pairs of
Yeah.
Air Force Ones, because what's old to me would be brand new to someone else. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
That's
that's what I
awesome.
do with it. Yeah.
So I think that's funny because most of the people that I spoke to, that I did interviews with, even over the past 15 years, they have this story coming from where they come from, where you come from. That is always what happens with the first money that comes in.
Right.
And it's completely understandable. Now I have to shout out another great producer, Just Blaze,
Yes,
who
sir.
told me
Legend.
in a conversation I had with him years ago that he still had the same car back then. He still had the same car that he
Wow.
always wanted. He bought a car from his first money,
Okay.
and that was the car he always wanted, and he still had that car. And he
Wow.
never bought another car. And he also told me he was blessed to have a good financial advisor
Okay.
to make sure that he wasn't one of those cats that went immediately bankrupt.
Right.
Of course, now he got the Batmobile and everything, but
Right.
yeah. But that was also interesting because I do think that is one of the biggest pieces of advice that you can give to people that are coming up in this industry or trying to make it. Like, sure, the money is great, but you got to go for the long money, not the fast money.
Right. 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 You know,
It's
and to add to that, you know, I don't want, like, I wouldn't be the person to the up and coming producers or creators to say don't do that. Like, I'm gonna be
right,
real and 100, where it's like, nah. You know, when you do that when you know your work ethic.
yeah,
You know, when you a hustler, and you ain't just about the money, where it's about more of the talent and the gift. I knew that I couldn't live without music. I live it, I
right,
sleep it, I drink it. So I'm saying, okay, that year I made that, I blew through it. Okay, cool. I'm excited about the new year because I know
right,
what I do and I know what I bring to the table work wise. I know my work ethic and I know my hustle. So if
right,
that's who you are and you've, you know, grew up how we grew up, and, you know, less fortunate, and I wouldn't say less fortunate. It's just our parents prioritized properly for us to do
right,
and to put money where it needed to be versus where we wanted it to be, you know? So if you have that same story and you're like, man, listen, I want to have a moment where I'm going to go crazy and enjoy life because we only get one life, you know,
right,
then do that. Just make sure that you're able to bounce back and you're able to
right,
focus after you have that moment, where the next checks that you get, you know, you can put it in the right places.
right. And that counts for everyone outside of the industry too, because I mean, I don't make producers money, but
Right.
I do the same thing. If my bills are all paid, I can spoil myself,
Yeah,
and
because
you know,
you
my
are Nike queen. You are Nike and sneaker queen. I peeped that too. I was like, listen, man,
yes,
she
I
don't
had
play
to
no
get them in all
games.
colors, and
Yes.
you know, I had the whole collection of Air Force Ones. I had the whole collection of Dunks. Then I went over to now I got the Air Max ones. It's
Yeah.
just yeah,
Yeah.
it's too much. I don't have the space for it here in Amsterdam, but
How many sneakers you got total
well,
right now?
I actually sold like 25 pairs by end of last year.
Wow.
I just don't have the space, man. I live in a shoebox, so I can't have so many
Yeah.
shoes.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I don't know. If I had the space, I probably would have about 100
Gotcha.
pairs of. I would
Gotcha.
have kept all of them, but I'm
Wow.
not a materialistic person. But if my house would burn down, I would be sad about my sneakers. Yes.
I agree. I
That's
agree.
probably the most valuable stuff I have in here aside from my computer and my phone. But
Right.
yeah, I do rock Nikes all day, every day.
Love it. Love it.
Um, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so my mom told me you should save money, save money, save money, and she would always tell me, don't splurge, don't spend it on everything. But then I'm like, there might not be a tomorrow. Now I'm not
Facts.
saying do stupid, but if the
Right.
world
Yeah.
ends tomorrow, at least I don't want to die with millions in the bank and not have
Right.
lived.
Right.
that is one thing that just do it smart, do it
Right.
balanced, and do it efficiently. Because I'm not that person that's never going to spend my money and die rich and
Yeah, it's
not
true.
having lived.
It's true.
And that, to me, that's experiences. I spend my money on experiences. I travel a lot. I see countries, and I don't necessarily,
Right.
that's why I live so small. I don't necessarily need stuff except
Got
for
you.
sneakers. And music. I had like a whole bunch of records and CDs and stuff, and they don't fit here. So I stashed them somewhere because now we can all do streaming.
Got
But
you.
those are very valuable to me. I still got VHS
Wow. Yeah,
videotapes.
me too.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I gave up on the Betamax, but yeah. Going into the business thing, you started the Music 101 college tour.
Mm-hmm.
And so my first question is, when did you feel like, next to producing, you were also passionate about motivational speaking?
It's something that I always did, being that it's who I am as a person. And then the more people that I would be around or have the opportunity to speak to, kind of put a title on it. You know what I'm saying? And put me in a and started calling me, hey, what you doing? It's like motivational speaking. I'm like, okay,
Right.
cool. So it was just something that I love to do. I remember like touring with Trey and going to different cities and different places, right? And I would be like, yo, what's the nearest high school, or what's the nearest school surrounding whatever area we were in or whatever city we were in at that time. And I'm like, okay, that's a school. See if I can pull up, for an hour just to talk to the kids, and that was just something that I love to do, in regards to pushing them to live their dreams and pushing them into their destiny, and whatever it is that they love and most passionate about, right? And then, then it kind of transitioned into, well, why not teach the music business side of things
Right.
to educate people on the do's and the don'ts and what you need in order to be successful? Because with me coming up in the business, no one really did that. No one sat me down and say, do this, do this, do this. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do that.
Right.
I just had to figure it out on my own, which again, I have no regrets on, because you learn and you figure things out, and you appreciate more when it's your own hustle, and it's when
Right.
it's you that had to go through what you had to go to get to where you are. So, but I just kind of wanted to do the opposite of that. It's like, okay, I went through that. No one really sat me down and taught me the right way, and I had to bump my head and get jerked and get, shaken up a little bit. And it's like, if I can avoid people that are coming behind me,
Yeah.
to not have to go through that, then I'll do that. So I'll teach them what they
Agreed.
need to know, show them all of the, because it started with just the business, right? And then I kind of started putting panels together, introducing people to all of the different areas in music, because not everybody are artists, producers, or
Right.
songwriters. A lot of people are really geniuses, and as yourself, where marketing,
Yeah.
branding, managing, you might be dope with sound, so you can be the
Right.
engineer, recording engineer, mix engineer. You could be the front house engineer at live shows. You may be really dope when it comes to ears and really hearing what you can hear,
Right.
with ears, and you might be an in-ear manager, where artists perform on stage and they have the in-ears, right, and they have sound, and your job is to mix the sounds that's going into that artist's ears, so it's
Right.
so stylists, barbers, A&Rs, it's so many areas. And
There's a lot.
when we introduce people to that, they're like, oh wow, I don't have to be the superstar, I don't have to be on the stage or in the forefront, I can be behind the scenes. No one may even know my name or what I do, but I'm responsible for the success of J-Lo in this area. I'm responsible for the success of Chris Brown or Trey Songz in that area. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and we did it for 3 years. Of course, due to the pandemic, we had to shut it down. But just to think, as a young, black boy from the hood, from the Bronx, no college education, for me to be speaking at Yale, Harvard, Howard University, NYU, Bronx Community College. It's like, just goes to show you, when God has his hand on you, there's no limit to where you can do and what you can do. You just have to continue to be fearless, be a good person. At the end of the day, besides being a talented person, be a good person that people want to surround themselves around and want to be in the presence of. And I feel like that energy that I have has allowed me to be in rooms that not only talent can get you, so I feel like that's very important.
It's funny that you say that, because before you got into this live, I was talking about your energy, about how hype I got last week, and that you were just like a drug, like you were feeding me energy, and it took me like 2 hours after our talk to calm down and go to sleep,
Wow.
because it's later
Wow.
here. And I was blowing up his phone like, hello, because I needed some. I was a drug fiend, man. Yeah,
Man,
I
I'm
was a
blessed.
straight up
That's a
stalker
blessing.
last week. But that is that energy that you do need. And going back into you talking about the different roles in this industry, people often only see the success from the people on the forefront, whether it be the DJ, the artist, the producer, not knowing that there's like a whole team in this industry that provides that success, that makes sure that everything is running smooth. It's like a factory, like everybody
Right.
does their job.
Right.
And so you can't do everything without those essential roles. And those roles in itself are, skills to possess. So for you
Right.
to put panels together of people that are very skilled in their role is very important, because a lot of people that I encounter, especially in my master classes, because I do master classes as
Right.
well,
Right. Right.
they want to be either a manager or a booker or promoter or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, because they don't have the skill to be a producer or the artist. And what I warn artists for when they're looking for management is, don't just take your boy from the block because he
Right.
wants to be part of this success, but he has no talent. Make sure
Mm.
that he knows what he's doing if he's handling your business. Like
Right.
if he
Right.
doesn't know how to do it, let him go to school or whatever, but do not
Right.
put him in charge of your business just because it's your boy. And Sean has
Right.
said the same thing in our talk. Everybody can't come and eat. Like, I forgot how she said it exactly, but she's like, you can't bring everybody with you. So
Hmm.
that's
That's real.
yeah, that is real, because yeah, sure, we're friends, but it's also a whole thing mixing friends with business.
Right.
That's a whole other, rope that you got to balance.
Right.
And
I agree.
so, yeah, so I like the fact that you put panels together with people in
Thank
the
you.
industry, because that shows that you're not there to just provide information yourself, but you're taking
Right.
actual people in those roles to provide that information as well. Have you also gathered information and try to get your knowledge up through books or mentors, or whatever master classes you could join? Are there people that inspire you to learn more and perfect your knowledge?
Yeah, I'm not and I'm just being honest, I'm always going to be open and honest. I'm not a reader like that. I'm a person that's very visual. So I have to see things, meaning, you have people that say, "Hey, I don't watch TV, I read." I'm the opposite. Like, I'm the person that, if you want me to learn something, you got to give me a visual. So I'm the documentary person. I'm the person that loves to watch the behind the scenes stuff. So I do a lot of TV watching. Allows me to remove myself from life sometimes, where, just sometimes you need those distractions in order
Right.
to avoid or get away from for a moment what's going on and what you're dealing with in life. So I'm a very big TV person. And I love to hear people talk that I'm inspired by. Of course, me being a part of the Bad Boy Hitman umbrella, Puff is a huge inspiration, in everything for me, because it's not just music. It's music, it's business. This
His
guy
business mind is
is
insane.
just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, okay, I want to create that, and then he says it right, then he puts it out there, and the next thing you know, it's like out there and it's amazing. And I remember him saying, "I want to, create Revolt TV," and everybody was looking at him like, "What?" And I
Yeah.
didn't understand the vision, but it's like, okay, what I'm not going to do is doubt him, because I know what he's capable. I know
Right.
what he's capable of, so I know he's going to do it. It's just about a point of when and how. Um, so he's definitely someone I look up to and admire. There's a lot of people from a business sense that I think, Jay-Z is really dope at what he does and his way of thinking. Um, Kevin Lyles is incredible, having 300 Entertainment and being independent, but once being a part of Def Jam and Warner Brothers,
Right.
so it's a lot of different individuals that I look to and listen to for inspiration on the business side of things. And I get inspiration from anybody. it could be you and words that you've spoken. Like I've went to your website the other day and went through the article of, social media, like the 5 tips on social media.
Yeah.
And I was inspired by that in regards to the do's and the
Thank
don'ts
you.
and how. So I'm a person where you don't have to be well known. You don't have to be an entertainer, a celebrity for me to listen to. It can be a person that I'm following that might say something that, touched me in a major way, and I'll grab that information and use it. So I'm not a person, that it has to come from a specific individual. It can be from anybody.
Right. Yeah, you definitely showed me that side of you when you, first of all, when you hit me up,
Right.
Actually being so humble. And I still don't know if you have a manager or not, because you're approachable. You reach out to people. Nothing has to go through a manager.
Right.
And I think that just speaks on who you are and your personality. So,
Right.
yeah,
And I just think that, because there were times where I had management and representation, and I'm tough. I'm tough to manage. I'm tough to represent, and it's not from a negative side, but it's more so I'm so hands-on.
Yeah.
And I want to do so much, where it's like, in order for us to work together, your intensity and your level of hustle and wanting to get it done has to match mine or outdo me.
Yeah.
Because, it may take me a longer time to get it or to reach a person based off of it coming directly from me versus you that may have the relationships and all of that. But I'm like, if I give you something to do or actually do something for me, I'm like,
yeah.
Did you do it? Did you do it?
Did you do it? Yeah.
What happened? Like, you got him? You didn't get him? You didn't send an email out? You're going to send it out today? And I'm sitting there like,
oh, that's horrible.
I'm not going to wait for you. Like, that's just been me my whole life. I can't fully 100% depend on anyone. You can be the top manager representing the dopest artist in the world, which I've had. And it's like, you're not moving fast enough for me. Like, you're not, and that's just me.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
Sometimes it's not the person that's moving slow. They have to wait on, response or,
Yeah, but that's different. That's different, because at least, you're saying to me, I reached out to so and so, I haven't heard back. That's different versus you saying, you know what I mean? That's different versus you saying, I didn't send an email yet.
Listen, I've worked with an artist, I'm not going to mention any names, and that particular person just was literally almost every hour, at least every day, like, did you hear back? Did you hear back? Right. Listen, first of all, if I hear back, you're the first person. I'm not going to sit on it for a week.
Right.
I mean, come on. And that's that. I got a little bit of the same vibe when you said, yeah, I'll be so hands-on, because that person was hands-on, which is fine, because I don't mind. I love it when artists do stuff themselves. But you also have to put your trust in me that if something goes down, that you'll be the first to know. Right. I'm just as excited. So, yeah, that is a difference.
But so I'm patient on that level. So I don't want to, and I love that you brought that up. It's not so much of a response on the other end. Like, say, for instance, if I wanted to send Meek Mill a folder, I'm like, yo, did you get him? Did you get him? Did you get him? Not so much of that, but more so on the side, like, did you send the email? Because, you may have other clients, you may have other things on your table.
You got a life. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, but it's like more so of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like being content or thinking it's time, when it could be, for me, it can be urgent.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's communication, though.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, if people are doing what they need to do and they've done it, it's fine, because then you can take it to the next step. But if steps are not being taken, that's a whole different ball game.
And that's my area. That's my issue.
That's what you mean with the work ethic, because that's how I work as well. Like, I threw everything out, and now I'm just going to do more stuff, and then I'll wait until that comes back and we get back to that. But yeah.
And what's also important too, though, and for those that are tuned in, is your follow-up game. Now, I say that to say, I've reached out to numerous artists, right, at one point. And sometimes and I don't feel no way when there's no response, because sometimes it's just not the right timing, right? Sometimes it's maybe they didn't see it because there are a whole bunch of people like myself who are reaching out as well, and they can get caught up in the matrix. So I always think positive first when there's not a response. And I'm talking about artists because I'm a producer, so I'm kind of talking from my lens, right?
From your point of view, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but there's also times where I'm like, you know what? I sent out the email and I just throw names out to, Meek Mill's team, Rick Ross's management, or whomever, and I haven't heard back. And it's a week or two later. So make sure that you don't allow your pride and ego to not allow you to resend that email, or to take it, to take a negative approach, like, oh, they ain't rocking with me, or they don't think I'm dope, or they didn't see my resume and think I'm popping. No, maybe they didn't see it. I've reached out to...
People have stuff to do.
Yeah.
You weren't the only one emailing them. You're not the only one in the mailbox. You're not, that's something that I've learned. I mean, obviously from me being the business manager of artists, I also don't stalk people. You don't have to send a reminder every day or every week.
Right.
Sometimes you just got to know that you got to find that balance on and also how to do your follow-up. You can't be on some, hey, did you see my shit? No.
Right.
Just be like, hey, I understand you're busy. Hope all is well. Hope everything is safe and healthy in this time.
Yes.
Perhaps
very important too.
It slipped through, or
I love you mentioned that. Greetings to me are very important. And if you notice, how I greeted you.
Do's and don'ts of networking.
Yeah. Greetings are very important. It ain't just about, yo, I got beats. Yo, I got, listen to this. Like, how are you? How you doing?
Yeah.
I pray all is well with you and your family during this pandemic we're in.
Right.
Are you good? Are you okay? Are you in the right space? Then I am such and such. I do this. I would like to send you that.
I am.
Yes.
I don't even get a name 9 out of 10 times. It's like, yo, check out my music and let me know. Who are you? And why should I check out your music? What is the purpose of this? Just me checking your music? I ain't got no time for that.
Crazy, man.
Even if I have the time for that, I ain't got time for that.
Right.
Like, it's just, it's this fast-paced society that we live in, where people are on the app, like, yo, this and this and that, and they expect quick replies. There's no etiquette anymore. Facts. So that's what I described in the article, the do's and don'ts of networking. And I often replied with just that link to people that emailed me like that. They just get that link.
That's so dope.
Doing that. That was already too much effort on my side. Like, I'm just now ignoring it. Like, if you can't properly introduce yourself, and then also don't just approach somebody because they can do something for you. Always make a proposal where the value is also there for the other person. It should be a mutual collaboration where everybody's winning, not just, hey, you can do this for me. Why? Unless you throw down immediate numbers, like, I'll pay you this to do that, I could see that being value. But anything else is just, it's not acceptable anymore in my email inbox or my DMs or wherever. Right. But yeah, people are busy, so we do have to respect that. On my side, I thought Amadeus was dissing me. He didn't get back to me after he said he would. We were supposed to do a follow-up. I was stalking him, I was emailing him, I was calling him. I blew up his phone, and he didn't get back to me.
But all love.
This guy cannot not be great, because he was so awesome. He should win an Oscar for his great performance. But he explained it to me. He got back to me, and so we're good. And I because we're getting to know each other, so it's good. Right. This is good.
Absolutely.
Going to the business side, you and I came up in the same time. I started even from the 8-track to the cassette tapes, to the CDs, to the MDs. I had MDs, and then whatever else. Now we got streaming. How do you feel about the changes in the industry as far as going from physical product to digital?
Love that question. Pros and cons, man. Just like anything, as you mentioned, me being in the game for 19 years, I was here when cassette tapes, were out, and then transitioned into CDs, you know what I'm saying? And then from CDs to, iTunes, and, now we have Apple Music and Spotify and Tidal and all of these, opportunities for music to be heard. I'm a fan of the cassette tape and the CD, and I'll tell you why. It's nothing like having a hard copy of something. You know, it's an amazing feeling to see people have a CD. You know, to open up the booklet, whether it's a
Oh
cassette tape
yeah,
or a CD.
we
That was the
talked
first
about
thing I
that. Yeah.
did. Yeah, that's the first thing I did. I remember buying, Life After Death, big CD, man, and opening up the first thing I did was read the credits, and
Yes,
I
same.
was excited about the artwork. You know, I wanted to see the artwork. I wanted to see who produced, who wrote what,
Who did the
and it allowed
backing
me to have,
vocals?
yeah, man,
Yeah, who was part of it? And
all
then
of that.
suddenly everybody was connected.
Yeah, like all of, because I'm excited now. If I knew D Dot did produce that and Kelly Price is singing the hook on that, I'm now looking forward to hearing that record and sitting and waiting in anticipation to hear that record of those that I know or those that I'm inspired by. So, now that everything is digital, it's hard because now me as a producer, we suffer
Yeah.
because as you know, and I'm sure people that are tuned in, you're not asking who made it, who produced it. You're not
Right.
Artists are not really saying it and mentioning it and saying, okay, this song produced by such and such. They're saying who produced the video. They're
Yeah.
saying who recorded the video. The cameraman, the camerawoman is getting credit. The
The
editor is getting
photographer.
credit. The
Yeah.
photographer,
The
the person,
stylist.
the makeup, what they wore, and all of that. All of those people are getting, props and admiration and mentions, and then the producer is just like, who cares? So I think it's
Yeah.
something that it really bothers me. It really sucks because without the producer, without the beat, without the music, that wouldn't be your favorite
It
song
wouldn't be. Yeah, exactly.
at all.
Now
So,
I sent you the link to the article of the underrated producer.
mhm.
Did you get a chance to read that?
Not yet. I went through
Okay.
the music. I went through your website and kind of lived with that because I wanted to learn. Prior to the conversation that we've had
Right.
off, I wanted to learn more about Pay and your company and your vision and what you've done and you as a person. So I kind of dived
I
into
appreciate that.
you
So
first. So I didn't get to that yet.
that's okay. But going into this conversation, talking about digital versus physical product, at um, the topic, the subject of that article, I had people like Pasta News, J.
Oh, wow.
Rawls, 14KT. I had like a lot of Eric Sermon. I had a lot of input from producers in that
Okay.
article, and it was talking about how digital also changed the way of production.
Yeah.
We touched on the MPC last week. And now everybody, there's software programs and everybody, there's Fruit Loops, whatever, everybody can just produce.
Right.
How's your view on that? Because Raka from Dilated Peoples, he
Okay.
was in the article spoke about the difference between beat makers and actual producers.
Right.
How's your
Right.
take on that?
Before I say that, I want to shout out Romeo Johnson right now. It's IG, and I want you to see him as well, Queen. Official Romeo
Romeo
J.
J.
I would love to connect you guys. He's an amazing vocalist and vocal coach. I had the pleasure of meeting. I love connecting great people. So sorry for going off on a little tangent.
No, it's
but
okay.
I had the pleasure of meeting this king when we were working on making his band, the show that Puff had put together.
Yes.
For him to put together his live band to tour with him for the album Last Train to Paris. So Romeo Johnson was Puff's vocal coach, and he's worked with, when I say almost everyone, he's worked with Prince, toured with Prince,
Oh wow.
Michael Jackson,
Romeo,
Janet Jackson.
Yes.
The list goes on and on and on. And I know the conversation between you guys would be amazing. It would be phenomenal. So I just had to mention him being in the building, in the room.
Talking about making the band, he must know Rob Lewis then, because I'm
I
supposed
know
to have
we
Rob.
know Bob very well. Yes, we were on the same panel.
He was supposed to be on here as well, but something came up, so I still have to reschedule our talk.
And let me know if you
Yeah.
need me to help with that as well. Like, these are my big brothers. So yeah,
Oh
Romeo.
no, I know him.
You
I
know Rob?
interviewed him in Amsterdam like
Okay,
years ago.
okay.
But I still have to hit him back because he
Okay,
got tied up and stuff. But
got you.
Romeo, definitely gonna talk to you. And I saw that China is in here, Lady China, the my singer that I want you to work with. She's in here
Hey,
too. So
peace and blessings, Queen. So yes,
she's
so
a
sorry.
vocal coach as well. So
Nice,
anyway,
nice. So back to your question.
yes,
I feel I'm old school, man. I'm old school. I love hardware. I love musical instruments. I love my MPC 2000 XL. I love my sound modules, actual keyboards, MIDI'd into my MPC. That's something that
right,
I love. Of course, you have to. What's the word I want to evolve
yeah,
to technology and to newer things of life and easier things of life. But I'm a fan of the old way because I agree. I feel like when you sit something down in front of someone that has everything, right? It's like a kid at a candy store. It's like they're going to be excited about it. They're going to love it. There's going to be so many different things that attract them. Now they want to do it versus for me, when, it was keyboards, it was MPCs, you bought the MPC had no sounds. So you had to create your sounds versus Logic, Pro Tools, Ableton,
right,
giving you 4,000 and 5,000 sounds. So of course, if I gave you something like that, you're going to be like, oh, wow, you're giving me everything I need. It's right here in this one place. Why not become a record producer?
right,
Why not become an artist? Why not become a creative individual? And there's no shot to that person because if you're inspired to do it, cool. But I was doing it, Eric Sermon was doing it when it wasn't the cool thing to do, when there wasn't no
right.
social media. You didn't see anybody making beats. You didn't see none of that. It was either you wanted to
Doing
do
the
it.
sampling, even like
Right.
going through your records, picking the samples out instead of just having a
Sound
pack
kit,
that
a
you
pack, a
can buy
sound
off.
kit,
Yeah,
everything's there. Nah, I went to the record store. I went to
yes,
A1 Records and spent the entire day, just listening to vinyl. And you don't know what's
right,
on there, so you don't know what you're gonna hear. You don't know what you're inspired by. You would pick up the record based off of what you saw, the visual, the artwork, the
exactly.
artist. Okay, they got a drummer, they got a live band. Let me see. And that was something that I always loved to do as a record producer, So it's different, man. And again, salute to all of the youngins that are coming up, that are making beats, that are creating, because there are a lot of amazing young kings and queens that inspired me, musically, that didn't come up in that world,
Right,
that's coming up in this time. And I can't criticize them or say anything negative to them for being a part of this era. This is their era. That was my era. So it's more so
yeah,
about the respect of them respecting my era and me also as the young OG
respecting
respecting the
them.
new
Yeah,
era and learning the new wave. Like right now, my young king right now, DeMiro. This is DeMiro, right? Amazing young producer. He signed to Platinum Boy Music. He signed to my movement and my team. He's taught me a lot of amazing things. Because he works with FL Studios. I never worked with
okay,
FL Studios. And
right,
when you hear what he creates, with that software, it's amazing and it blows me away. We're on the Indigo album together. We produced Take a Risk. We're on Young and May's album. We produced My Hitter on Her
right,
Story in the Making. And it's just amazing to see, those youngins come up, and do their thing and inspire me. So I don't have
right.
any issues with it. It's definitely a mutual respect thing that I feel goes both
And
ways.
that's going into that, the mutual respect thing, because we see a lot of things happening between the old school and the new school in the whole hip-hop industry, especially, not necessarily in any other genre, but hip-hop. It's always been an issue where they say, oh, such and such old rapper should retire, when
Right.
nobody's ever said that about the Rolling Stones or David Bowie or whoever. It's always in the hip-hop genre where when you're old, you're written off, and when you're young, you don't know because you didn't live that.
Right.
There's always that
Right. And
freaking yeah,
I've never had that way of thinking. If you're older than me, excuse me, and you come before me, I have the utmost respect to you, male or female, for what you do, because I
right,
wouldn't be able to do what I do
right,
if it wasn't for
paved the
you.
way.
So you know
Yeah,
what I mean? And then I look at, the younger generation where it's like, okay, yes, I just like I admire them and my OGs. It's a blessing for me for the younger generation to turn around and look at me as a young OG or someone that they look up to as I look up to a Eric Sermon or, a Dr. Dre or Kanye West and a Just Blaze. So it's a beautiful feeling to see, it happened for me as I was inspired by others.
I know the time is time always flies.
It goes crazy. Who you got after this?
After this?
Yeah.
You mean right now? I only do one talk a day. That's
all right.
enough.
So if we don't get to everything, let's go. Let's just come back on.
Oh yeah, we can do that. But that's a good idea. You don't have anything after this?
I like later. Like I have.
Because you're the one that got back-to-back talks. I'm gonna go into some of the questions.
Okay.
Let me see. Here's a question. Which software from Levi MP3? Which software program or programs do you use?
I'm in Pro Tools, but I still, believe it or not, I still have all my hardware. Like my MPC is right over there. You know what I'm saying? So I still use that. Akai is trying to convert me to the newer technologies. Like I have the MPC Live, and I know they're coming out, not coming out, but they have a newer version of the MPC out as well. So I'm sure I'll touch that in a little bit. But I've always been a person where if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. Right. Yes, it's easier ways to do things, but just because something is easier to do may not be something that I'm comfortable with, or may not be the way for me when it comes to creating and my level of creativity, So that's just always been me. I'm kind of, again, I'm messing with the MPC Live. There's a newer one. I'm not sure what it's called that I'm kind of, touching. Logic here and there, Pro Tools here and there, but it's been very difficult for me to just remove myself completely from hardware and just get into software 100%, and that's just my personal thing as a producer.
Right, but that's how you work. So that's just your way of creating.
And shout out to Ty Busy, my young king right there, amazing musician and drummer. The MPC One. So the MPC One is the newer. Thank
everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to my homie Real. He says, I think the time has passed. The older artists are still selling and making music and being accepted. Well, I think that has to do with a lot of adapting to this era and not just staying into your old ways, but also progressing as an artist, as a producer, or whoever in the industry. Even people like me, we have to progress in this industry as well, knowing how the new lines of business work, what the new mediums are, the channels and whatnot. And so everyone in the industry, in the music industry, has to adapt to the changes that are coming. Right. So if you are able to do that, that's when you stay relevant in this business, no matter what role you have.
I agree.
Some more questions. Let me see. What resources would you recommend for someone just starting the drums? From Yo Kells.
Like that. For me, we had like DVDs and VHS tapes that I watched. I came out watching Dave Weckl, and Dennis Chambers and stuff like that. And again, like you mentioned, we're in 2020, so you don't have to have a VHS or a DVD. Now everything is on YouTube and also on IG Live, So I think watching drummers play live, watching drummers perform is a great thing to do. It's something that I did growing up as a young musician at my church. I just sat there with my eyes glued, to my brother Soup, who was the drummer at the time at my church, Greater Faith Temple, and I just sat there and watched him drum and play all day. Like I watched his hands for an hour. I watched his feet for an hour. I would watch a different part of him drum, according to that particular day, and just really kind of getting the fundamentals of what it took to be a drummer, like live and in the flesh. So, with social media being here, there's a lot of amazing drummers that I listen to, that I watch, that inspire me. So I would think that's something to do. Of course, if you can invest in your own drum kit, that'll be key. Whether it's acoustic kit or whether it's electronic kit, So, growing up, I wish they had the electronic kits, because my mom would say, I don't want to hear that noise. I don't want to hear that bang,
Now you can put your headphones on.
Now you can put the headphones on and have the joints that's all rubber, that you'll hear the little taps, but you want to hear the actual sound coming out. You can invest in that, work on your chops, and just study, man. And just study. If you can go to school for it, go to school for it. I started in school. learning theory and the fundamentals and everything like that. I changed schools, and that when I changed schools, the program wasn't free, and my parents couldn't afford it because they was already paying for my tuition. So it was the church that really molded me and gave me the sauce and the spices and the flavor. You know what I'm saying? That I have, you know, to this day. So, you know, if that would definitely be my advice as a new drummer.
It's funny because I literally today just hit up Daru Jones to be a guest.
Oh man, yes, my brother.
Daru is a badass drummer.
Yes, he is.
I've been a fan of his ever since I met him through Black Milk. He was playing for Black Milk, and
awesome. So you know him already. You need help. You got it. You don't need any help. You good?
I know some people.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just love the help. I just love, you know.
I know. I appreciate you. But I do have some people in my network.
Nice.
Okay, let me get to some more of these questions because I will lose the questions when the time is up.
Jay Hatch.
Okay, this is a funny question. Well, not funny, but this is a legit question. Hello, I have a band and a production team. How do I get representation? I could answer that one, but I'll give it to you.
I was about to say. No, I think you should. I think you want me to try it?
Yeah, you do first, and I'll jump in.
Okay. So I'm gonna go the other end because you do that and you represent management. So I'll speak on the other side of that, right?
Okay.
So I'll say, to me, it's about networking and really connecting the dots as much as you can do on your own, because not everybody is ready for representation, if that makes sense. You know, because you have a band, because you have a production team, are you of that level to need to be represented? You know what I mean? And to dig quickly deeper into that so you can go as well. You know, if I start making beats today, or if I start putting together a band today, tomorrow I'm not going to be ready for management. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to be ready for management. But if I've kind of honed on my skills and you know, we've worked together for a good amount of years and really put the time in, and we have a really dope sound and we're ready for the stage and we're dope and we're ready to go, then yes, use a band. Because, you know, it's one thing to have someone come in and really represent you right and really take you to the next level versus a person that can see dollar signs and say, okay, well, let me come in and let me get a quick percentage from this band. Well, let me get them, you know, quick few shows here, or let me put them onto this and earn money. So you really have to really research when it comes to putting together a team and going for management. So that's my side, my take on that side.
And that's, I'm going to piggyback on your side from my side, exactly what you said. Are you at the level of needing representation? Because one of the first things that I always tell artists is, make sure that you learn your business, your brand, and how you want to build your business before you bring in team members, because you have to know how to run it in order to have somebody else run your business, because this is your brand, your career. So you cannot bring people on and have them run with your stuff.
Right.
Like you have to, like, I can't open a restaurant, hire a chef and say, hey, you do it. I need to have the vision. I need to know how to how I want my restaurant to be, what the vibe is, what I want to serve, what clientele I want come in. That's what you need as an artist as well, because you're a business. So you need to be able to do all of that first before you bring in team members, because you have to instruct those team members on what you want them to do and how you want them to take you to the next level.
I agree.
With them, because a management artist is a very personal relationship. You can't just have somebody because they're a great manager to such and such. You might not click as a person.
Very true.
You might clash, and you might not be able to talk because your communication is bad. That's not going to do any business good.
That's real. I love that. I love the fact that you brought that up. Just because someone represents someone else and does well, and that artist or person that they represent are successful, doesn't mean that it's a good fit for you and your situation and your brand and what you're doing as an artist or a creative person. So I love the fact that you brought that up.
It's a very intimate relationship. Like if you're in a relationship with a partner, they're going to have to understand that the artist that you're managing is going to hit your phone up all day every day, or the other way around. If you have a wife, she should understand that your manager is going to call you and you're going to call them all the time.
Right.
I'm getting the countdown. So let's give me 2 seconds to put this one up, and we'll come right back.
People,
awesome. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Absolutely.
There are still some questions. If I didn't get to your question, please put them in the next live. We'll be right back.
Be right back.